Hello everyone, a warm welcome to my channel once again. I hope we are all doing well by God's grace. So today I want to share with you how you can beautifully and presentably fry your fish for any event, for your parties, funerals, any event at all. So join me and let me show you how you can do this. So first of all, let's deal with the fish, okay? Any kind of fish that you like to use, okay? For me, I'm using some tilapia and some red snapper, right? So what I'm going to be doing is to show you how you can prepare it, okay? Because sometimes it can be tricky when you want it to look presentable, you want to serve it, you don't know how. So I have a few tricks to show you here. You need a spoon and a scissors. If you don't have a scissors, you can use a normal knife, okay? Right. So the scissors is just to be cutting the fins, right? And then or cutting all those places that are difficult to cut with a knife. Okay, so the scissors is handy because when you're using a very sharp knife trying to cut all this, sometimes you can be a bit slippery. So the scissors is best, right? So you cut off all the fins, right? And then we open the belly. We remove the gill cover. Okay, so here when I open the belly, usually there's a lining in there which doesn't allow me to see the bone. I cut the lining, right, and I see the bone, and I wash any blood that is along the bone, right? Okay, so I'm just showing you how. Just let's go through a few times. So this is where I'm removing the gill cover, right? So you remove the gill cover on both sides, right, and then you remove the gill. You see that, creating this very beautiful hole in there, because the gill, not everybody eats the gill or the gills. Omodoso, are there plenty gills? So you try with your finger to pull out the gill. So that's what I'm doing there, and then you give it a nice wash, right? And look, see how beautiful it looks. Then you cut it. So for the red snapper, we're going to be doing the same, but the reason I'm showing you red snapper is how I normally clean the red snapper. For the tilapia, the scales were already gone, so I didn't need to scrape off the scales. But for the red snapper, you need to scrape off the scale. And when you are doing this large quantity of fish, right, trust me, it goes everywhere. So one trick that I have learned over the years is that when you scraping off removing the gills, you can see me showing you the scales now, right? That's where you need a spoon. With a spoon, you try to scrape off the scales in water, like you submerge the fish into the water and use the spoon to scrape it. By so doing, the scales don't fly away. The water catches it. So by the time you are done, everything is in the water. Okay, so going through again, this is where you cut the belly, you remove the content of the belly, right? And you're throwing them away, obviously. And then you go into the belly to see that every part of that bit is clear. So you see, this is where I split, or I cut the lining in the belly to get to the bone, to make sure that all the blood, you see I'm cutting the lining, all the blood that is along there is nicely clean. I don't know if it's blood, whatever it is, I wash it all off so that I might know that my fish is nice and clean. And when you're going to serve it to people, it's always good that you make sure that it's nice and clean, and when they are eating it, people eat with confidence, isn't it? Okay, so removing the gill cover again, and then cutting it off around there where the mouth is. All right, that's just pulling or cutting it. So that's the gill cover I'm mentioning. Make sure that you remove that bit, okay? Because I'm mentioning the names, you may not know what I'm referring to. So remove that bit and make sure you cut it off there, and then you see that exposes the gill, right? And then you remove it. So that is the cleaning bit done. So all that it's left is how you cut it. So you can choose to cut it into 2 or you cut it into 3. So depending on the size of your fish, or you leave it as like a whole fish, right? So depending on, look at how it looks, beautiful, nice. So I'm going to drain the sink for you to see that I'm showing you, this is about all the splatter I got from the scales, okay? Because if you don't do it in water, Charlie, by the time you finish, it's more than CSI, the crime scene. It's like all the evidence will be splattered everywhere. DNA evidence of the fish will be everywhere. So it's good that you do that in water, and it all stays there. So here I'm going to let my fish rest a bit. So I'm giving it a nice spa treatment, okay? Cold water and some lemon juice. Okay, I'll leave the rest of the lemon in there, okay, for the fish to enjoy kakra whilst I'm preparing the fish seasoning, right? So I'm using onion granules. That was ginger powder, onion granules. I'll list all of it for you. This is garlic, ground black pepper. So you basically use whatever seasoning you like on your fish. Okay, so I'm adding some rosemary and then chili. I like to add chilies to my seasoning a lot. Okay, so all pepper seasoning and then some salt. I also add some thyme, okay, to it. So just do your own combo as you see fit, right? Sometimes I add white pepper, but today I didn't. So I blend it all so that it's nice and smooth, so that it's easier, okay, to spread it or to rub it on the fish. So that's what is going on the fish now. I'm going to give it a nice toss, okay, and make sure that it's all nice and coated and ready to go. Okay, once I finish doing all that, what I'll do is I'm going to put it in the fridge, okay, for it to marinate nicely, right? So what I did is I'll put it in the fridge. What I did is I left some of the seasoning, if you notice, some of the seasoning. So we're going to be making the breading or the coating, right? So I've added some flour, and here I've added the rest of the seasoning that we created, okay, the spices we put together. Give it a nice mix. I'll add a bit more salt because the salt, because I've added the flour, the salt will not be enough. So that's where I'm adding the salt, so that the breading or the coating or whatever you call this, it's nice and seasoned. It makes your fish taste very nice. Okay, so we're going to set that aside, and when we are ready, which we are now, we're going to be coating all the fish. Because we're going to be frying this, okay, in oil. What I normally do is I'll make sure that I coat every fish. Okay, I coat them before I start to fry, so that once I'm frying, I'm just dropping it in. It's not now that I coat, I drop, I coat, I drop. Okay, so just pick and drop it. It makes things go quicker, right? So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm breading all of it, coating all of it with the flour that we've nicely seasoned, and we just go on to fry. Once you finish coating all your fish, there'll be some flour left. What I do is I'm going to sieve it or strain it, okay, because the fish had some moisture in it. You tend to get some lumps, okay. That's the lumps you see there. So when I sieve it, I take out all the lumps, and the rest of the flour I store it in an airtight container for use later, and that I throw away. Okay, so that's just to show you just don't throw your flour away once you're done. Okay, so I added some onion, garlic, and some ginger in my oil, and I'm going to be frying the fish. So it's just simple. It seems complicated. It seems like it's long, right? Because of course, yeah, dealing with fish and fish nyamadi, yeah, nasemwa. Okay, so this fish is very delicious. It's just so good, right? So it looks nice. It's presentable for your parties. You can never go wrong with it. Okay, so you just fry, and when it's nicely brown, fish doesn't take long to cook. Okay, unless maybe you want to fry it to be very, very hard. Okay, and then that one you can leave it in for long. But for this, when you leave it in for long, it tends to burn, because the breading, the flour on it will burn, and it will all become black. It won't be nice. So just as soon as you see it nice and brown, you just take it out, and there you go. You have your fish for your parties, your funerals, whatever you're doing. And trust me, it's amazing, and you will love this recipe. So thank you for joining me once again. Hope you love this recipe and you give it a try. And as always, I will see you in the very next one. Bye.